Wasn't that an interesting discussion? I thought that Engineer Hassan was going to talk to us all about the engineering feats, but actually he was really convincing when talking about the communication challenges and how they overcame them and won the hearts and minds of the citizens of Riyadh. We are now going to have a panel discussion about the future of autonomy, and who knows where that discussion will end up. Maybe somewhere completely unplanned. We keep hearing about autonomy, right? What was once confined to the R&D labs is now a reality in so many cities around the world. But how widespread is it really? Is it the future or not? That's what I'm going to ask my eminent panelists. We have executives, technologists, and big ideas people joining us. Please come on up onto the stage. Big round of applause for our panelists, please, ladies and gentlemen. Make yourselves comfortable. Now, they represent many different sectors, different business models, and the first person I'm going to introduce you to isn't even in the private sector. His name is Matthew Daus, and he's the president of the International Association of Transportation Regulators. Remember, we've been hearing about how important it is to have sympathetic regulation, open-minded regulation. Let's ask him, how do you see your remit, Matthew, in this area of autonomous travel, of robo-taxis, of robo-vehicles?
Well, it's good to be here. Thank you, Nisha. I've never heard anybody talk about sympathetic regulation before. Yeah, so I was the longest-serving taxi commissioner in New York City. The IATR that you mentioned, I am public and private. I'm a lawyer specializing in AVs and very involved as an academic as well at the Transportation Technology Chair at City University of New York, where we have I even have done workforce development. But just to answer your question, what do regulators think of all this? We don't really know yet. My group is the only organization that actually represents robo-taxi regulators, mostly in the US, but in Canada and around the world. And right now, the regulation is very thin. It's state-based. New York City is the only exception. It's becoming very political. And when I first got involved in this movement, I did a twinning exercise with Europe and the US DOT and the Transportation Research Board, where we talked in 2017 about socioeconomic issues, which everybody's been so focused on road safety for AVs. Nobody was focusing on the issues that in democratic countries that you have in blue cities and blue states, a lot of opposition from labor. And that's really the problem that we're facing now in terms of the technology rolling out is labor opposition.
That's great. Thank you for introducing that to our discussion. And we will ask him more as the discussion rolls on about what the socio-economic factors and implications of robo-vehicles are likely to be. Thank you very much, Matthew. Let me introduce you now to Kai Stepper from Lucid. Lucid, as you guys will probably all know, is an expensive luxury EV manufacturer, top of the range, but that's not all it is. It has ambitious plans to develop level 4 autonomous EVs. What are level 4 autonomous EVs? I hear you thinking. Well, Kai, please tell us briefly.
Thank you so much, Nisha. I'm very happy to represent Lucid Motors. The Kingdom is a very important pillar for our company. We are the first electric vehicle manufacturer right here in the Kingdom. Every vehicle that gets sold in the Middle East is assembled right here in the Kingdom. We're very proud of that. So level 2, level 3, level 4, that means something to engineers and maybe to regulators. It means very little to consumers. So think about it in different stages. It starts with feet off, and some of you know it from adaptive cruise control and other functions. The next step is take your hands off the wheel. So that's what we call level 2. And there are some variations of level 2. Level 3 is you can take your eyes off the road, and then we come to level 4, which in essence is mind off. In some situation, that means you still need a driver in the front seat or a safety driver. In some situations, like some robo applications today, it already means there is no longer a driver in the front of the seat. However, this is only restricted to certain pre-validated, pre-tested routes.
So super ambitious and possibly super expensive. Hold on to that thought, please, ladies and gentlemen. Level 4. Who should I introduce you to next? Hugo Fozzati, who's the Chief Business Officer of Tensor Auto. Now, I hear you're planning to launch the world's first robo-car, and you also have an intriguing partnership with the rideshare service, Lyft. Tell us briefly what Tensor's main goals are at the moment.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm the Chief Business Officer at Tensor. For those of you who don't maybe know Tensor, Tensor's a 10-year-old company. We were founded in Silicon Valley, based in Silicon Valley. And yeah, look, I mean, 5 years ago, we went very stealth and we designed the world's first level 4 vehicle that you can own for personal ownership.
Say that again?
It's the world's first.
You designed it.
We designed it, yes, that's right.
Okay.
And we have partnered with a vehicle manufacturer to manufacture it for us. And we will go live in the second half of 2026.
Oh, my word. So that's why they think they're going to be the world's first, yes? And we're going to push them on, is that a realistic timeline? Thank you very much, Hugo. Good to have you with us. At the end of our row is Dr. James Yu, who's the chairman and CEO of QCraft, which was founded in the Bay Area in San Francisco. It's a Chinese company, now headquartered in Hong Kong. Now, you've made your name with driver assist products, but I would like you to focus on telling us about your plans to develop level 4 enabled robo-buses and robo-taxis and robo-vans, so basically delivery vehicles and not personal vehicles.
Yes,
Why is that important?
Yeah, of course. I mean, QCraft was founded almost 7 years ago. In Silicon Valley, and our ambition is to bring autonomous driving to real life. We never ever lose that target. But we believe all this autonomous driving, no matter L2, L3, L4, we all need to get into mass production, right? This mass production is we will get there eventually. So we have a 2 product line. One is L2 plus, L2 we call it L2 plus or L2 plus plus, whatever is for the passenger vehicle. Almost all the major Chinese OEMs, they are our customer already. But our
So you're providing the technology to other companies.
We give them the solution
right.
as a solution provider. But our ultimate goal is to get to the robotaxi. But this ultimate goal needs some path. We need to take some time, step by steps. No matter L2, L3, like Kai mentioned, no matter L2, L3, L4, they are different at the product level. But in terms of technology, we share the same foundation. So that is our belief. So for QCraft, we based on L2, L3, L4. That is our product line. But underlying, we share the same gigafactory for the autonomous driving base technology. And we use this technology to create different product like a robobus. So far, we already deployed more than 26 cities for robobus, and even include Hong Kong, also in some Japanese cities as well. And also, we are expanding in Middle East.
Okay, James, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that pathway. How do you get from where they are now to where they want to get to in the course of this discussion? And finally, a company that needs no introduction to you, of course. I left you to last for that reason. Mohamad Jardaneh is the head of autonomous mobility at Uber for this region, for the Middle East. Now, you may be asking, what is Uber's strategy regarding autonomous vehicles? It's not making the technology itself, but it has a lot of partnerships in different regions with different players. Can you tell us about what's going on here in the region?
Yeah, thank you, Nisha, and it's great to be here today. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Rather than actually build autonomous vehicles ourselves, our vision is actually to partner with the best AV tech developers and become the platform of choice, help them scale, learn as we go, and really become the partner of choice for them in all the markets that we're here. And to that effect, we partnered with 20 AV tech developers across the world, across mobility, freight, and delivery. We think that the Uber network, is the only network that can offer a one-stop shop, one-stop access to delivery and mobility markets across the world. And we're super excited about the Middle East. I had the region here in terms of AV mobility, and this is a region that we've seen some really good progress. It's the first region we launch outside of the U.S. It's there's already deployments in Abu Dhabi and Riyadh, and we're super excited about that. And I think I think the region is going to be a place, and Saudi in particular is going to be a location that's going to continue to be very important for our strategy as Uber and a test bed for a lot of our operations here.
Okay, thank you very much, Mohamad. So I'm now going to ask our panelists, really, is this so inevitable? When we're sitting in a room like this, we can get so caught up in the technology that we sometimes don't take a step back and ask ourselves, is it realistic? Was it ever going to make money, for instance? So I'd like to ask, who should I start with? James, are autonomous vehicles really inevitable? Are we going to see this in any realistic time frame?
Oh, yes, of course. I think we as human beings, we have dreamed about this autonomous driving for decades. I think everybody, here and also in front of us, everybody has been dreaming this a lot. And I think this autonomous driving is so close to us, and we have made so much progress already. And for example, like so far, even L2, L3, L4, they are all, we all call it, to some extent, they're autonomous driving. Just the level of autonomy is different. For example, right now, so far, we have deployed almost a million installations for navigation on autopilot, this kind of NOA product already. As you can see, nearly a million installation already is quite massive. And also we have seen like a lot of progress on the technology side, especially it's quite a lot of company they can already achieve this robotaxi or robobus without the driver behind the wheel. The vehicle, the entire vehicle has been redesigned, reinvented already. So we are approaching that the ultimate goal very quickly. But we have to see that this is for autonomous driving, especially on robotaxi side. We still probably need to take some time, maybe 5 years or maybe even 10 years, because we need the regulation, we need all this audience, all this government, all these average people, they need to be able to accept that. It's not an easy job.
Indeed. So you've got the technology. Is it affordable? We have 5 to 10 years, big difference in time horizons there. And will people accept it? Because there are concerns about safety, job losses, etc. Which regions are going to be the most open to a technology, profoundly revolutionary technology like this? We know there's a lot going on in the US, and we have US companies with us, huge amount going on in China, and we have James with us from representing a Chinese point of view, but also here in the Middle East. We heard from Mohamad how excited he is about the potential here. So which region is going to see takeoff first, do you reckon, Mohamad?
Look, I think you summarized it quite well, right? I think there's a lot happening in the U.S. and China, but I think what's exciting is the Middle East is one of the regions that's where things are happening. So and it's getting there's a regulatory head start here. Several cities already have AV deployments. Abu Dhabi, for example, 2 weeks ago was the first city to launch autonomous, fully autonomous and fully driverless commercial robotaxi operations outside of the U.S. and China. Here in Riyadh, we have a partnership with the Transport General Authority, and it's part of a milestone for us in terms of bringing the future of mobility here to the kingdom. Saudi is very innovative in its thinking, and one of the countries that is very promising in terms of AV adoption. We already today in Riyadh have a deployment with We Ride Vehicles, doing a service between Princess Noura University and Ocean Front. And as that deployment scales and as we introduce additional partners into this region, we hope to be able to push a lot more.
So it sounds like what you're saying is having the backing of a central authority, having a kind of government, public sector backing is a very important ingredient. You have that in this region. And I suppose also the fact that the infrastructure to some extent is relatively immature and there's a lot of investment going on right now, which is another big advantage. Thank you very much, Mohamad. Do you agree with him, Hugo? Do you think that this is the area where most likely to see lift off in, or is it more likely to happen in the US, for instance, where look at the amount of investment that's going in here, or China?
Yeah, no, I think I think look, it's a foregone conclusion. I mean, it's happening all around the world. I think right now what's important is the staying power. So one thing is being able to, do some tests, do some deployments, whatever. But the other one is, have you really prepared yourself? Have you really, do you really have a product that is there for the long run? And so I think
what are you suggesting there?
So
There's some places where the staying power isn't there?
Yeah, so staying power is important. And so I think you need to look at the safety approach of every company. You need to look at the scalability of every company. I think this is very, very key. And so, one of the things, we've been doing one thing and one thing only for the last 10 years, and that's, level 4 autonomous driving. And as I said earlier, we designed this vehicle from the ground up specifically for safety and scalability, because it's what the consumer deserves. It's what countries deserve. It's the only way to do this properly. And so by doing that, we have basically an incredible, we've integrated, from the ground up, an incredible amount of redundancy. We've taken a very, very sensor-rich approach, which is fundamental, to scalability. And, on top of that, a compute system which is unparalleled. We've done this, 8,000 trillion operations per second. We have the latest, offering from NVIDIA on there, the Thor. Redundancy, we're talking about redundant braking, redundant power, redundant steering, redundant sensing, redundant compute. I mean, all these things, without them, basically you're setting yourself up for failure. And so,
but building in redundancy also makes a product very expensive, and someone has to swallow those costs. It's either the companies developing them, or it's the consumers, or it's the public sector. And so that's a question that we can explore in a little while. Hugo, thank you very much for Did you answer my question about which region? I don't think you did.
Well, I think it's everywhere, right? And I think it's
going
to happen everywhere. Yes, U.S. for sure, China, of course, here in the Middle East. I mean, we have offices in Dubai, we have offices in Barcelona, we have offices in San Jose. We see it, Riyadh is a fantastic place to do this. Absolutely. I think all the points you said were spot on. And again, I think it's very, very important, that you have the right setup to do this at scale.
Okay, thank you. I saw you nodding there, Matt, as Hugo was talking. Yeah. I don't know whether you agreed or disagreed with him, but I would like to ask you what you meant when you said we're likely to see possible breaks coming in because of the socioeconomic issues, which perhaps have not been explored to the extent that they might be, that are still around the corner, but will come and bite us soon.
Yeah, and I would agree with Hugo and Mohamad about, the governance is where it's going to scale more quickly. If you have a good governance structure, like I worked for government for 20 years, and, in the United States, for instance, it's broken. You have states and cities and localities, and now the local transportation departments want to get a handle on where the vehicles pick up, and the Waymos of the world and the AV companies all want state regulation. So it's kind of a ping pong ball right now, but I think it's going to take time to scale, and I think public acceptance is key. Look in Arizona. In Arizona, it's been there for years now, and people got used to it. And it is scaling, but it's only a certain segment of the for-hire market. I don't think it's going to be coming to buses and motor coaches for ground transportation or non-emergency medical transportation or luxury transportation as quickly as it's going to come to ride-hailing like Uber and taxis, where there's a certain segment of the marketplace that's using it now, and it's going to expand over time. So I think 5 years is a little bit optimistic, and I think countries that have their governance together, like Riyadh, where you actually have control and there's decision-making that's unilateral or only among a few people, that it can get done. In the U.S., it's all over the place, and
it's all done state by state, right?
State by state, but there's certain states that are welcoming it and others that are not. I'm from New York, and New York is not welcoming as an environment. It's not innovative. The West Coast and some of these other states like Texas and Arizona and even California are doing it, but again, labor opposition, my regulators, they're concerned about sustainability, which is not a big issue. they're more concerned about EVs, and EVs are pretty much the business model for all the companies. Wheelchair accessibility is big with our regulators in the United States and abroad. And also the labor thing is the thing that's holding it up in the trucking industry and also in New York. And it's going to be a very, very hard sell because the labor is organized. And even in London, I could see, even though there's a unified governance structure with TfL, I could see the taxi drivers are there very active, and they're going to fight this. And this is a fight that is going to go on for a while. So I think it's going to take more like 10 years until we start seeing it infiltrate, and we're going to see it in some places and not others for quite some time.
So which are going to be the sectors which are mostly likely to get the breakthroughs then and win wider acceptability? I think that we heard from Matt there that he doesn't think that the luxury segment is ready yet. So, Kai, I'm sure you'll disagree with him. But
if I could just qualify that, though, I think they're going to use it, but they're going to make the drivers become concierges and pick up the luggage. I think it's going to change the job. But there could be a Lucid vehicle that the limousine industry uses. We'll see.
Let's hear what he has to say.
And they are. Thank you so much, Nisha, and the audience. I would argue very hard that autonomy is here, ladies and gentlemen. It's here in the US. Yes, it's fragmented, but it's been there for many years. I've been in industry, been working on this for more than 15 years, and there's been many, many decades before that from academia. So it's been deployed. It's been deployed in California. It's been deployed in Arizona. We have long-haul driverless trucking in the state of Texas and many, many cities in China.
But may I just interrupt and say, what you're talking about are specific examples. They're not quite pilots, but they're not mass scale either, are they?
Well,
so how does it become a reality? Is that likely to happen, really, in the luxury market segment, or where else?
I was going to say, I think what's key, right, is that if you're just going to do fleets or robotaxi, let's say, that can be limited, that can be very capital intensive, right? You need to basically scale this out. And to scale it out, the law of numbers, I mean, if you just look at the law of numbers, right, 85% or 90% or whatever of every vehicle that is produced and sold today are owned by consumers. So it's just a matter of following what consumer behavior already wants to own this. So it needs to be owned by the consumer as well as fleets.
But that's one model that Hugo has pushed with great support just now. But there is a whole alternative model that maybe we won't own cars anymore at all. That it'll be Uber and it'll be mobility as a service, which will just provide our mobility needs, like a click of the finger or a touch of a screen. Kai?
Yeah, it's not binary. I mean, you have to go step by step. There will be human driving for many decades to come on this planet. Why does it have to be one or the other? Well, we have multimodal transportation today, public transportation, privately owned and leased, fleet operation, taxi operations. It's not going to be binary for many decades to come, and you need to go step by step. The industry, society, regulators around the world have to gain experience with it to trust the technology moving forward. So, it's, you have Black Lane. There's Lucid vehicles in Black Lane today. You have Uber Black. You have other models. So there is a market for ride-hailing as well as for robotaxis that want a more premium experience moving forward. We just announced earlier this year a partnership with Uber, and Uber has trusted in us to be the first vehicle manufacturer to provide the robotaxi vehicles for them. They committed to more than 20,000 vehicles and hopefully more to come. So that's number one. And number two, long-haul trucking, going long stretches of highway from point A to point B, from hub to hub. It just makes sense to automate this. And actually, it's live, it's real, it's happening in the state of Texas today and in many places in China.
So 2 ideas there we've just had from Kai. Firstly, this idea of partnerships, he just mentioned, Lucid and Uber, and I want to ask you about that, Mohamad. And secondly, the idea of commercial delivery. Yes, perhaps that's the area, long-haul trucking, maybe last-mile delivery, and I'd like to put that to James in a minute. So Mohamad, that we're seeing a lot of partnerships in this area, right? And I wanted to ask you, how you see the significance of that from a business point of view, and where does the profitability lie? Who owns the consumer then when you have these partnerships?
Yeah, so look, I think from our perspective, a partnership strategy makes a lot of sense. We want as many companies to succeed in delivering, L4 robo-taxis to the market. We think that's good for consumers, that's good for our business, that's good for bringing costs down. I think we talked a lot about cost in this panel. I think the overall, right, I think this is still in the early stages of development, and it's going to take time, and I agree with Kai, right? Like, we do see that, I think everybody kind of here does agree that the future of mobility is going to be, electric, shared, and increasingly autonomous. But we really see that both locally and globally, traditional and autonomous transportation modes are actually going to continue to grow over time. And you're going to need both of them to kind of create that right mobility and ecosystem. And the more we're able to kind of create those multimodal trips, the more we're able to integrate them into seamless applications like the Uber app, we'll see that as transportation becomes more reliable, more affordable, more convenient, potentially things like car ownership start to decrease, and you start to move towards that world we're starting to talk about.
I think Mohamad's being very humble here. Actually, I think Uber started off wrong by trying to be an OEM, but now you have all your eggs in different baskets, but they're also doing partnerships with other modes like taxi. So there's a lot of innovative stuff going on, but there's really two business models and possibly a third. You got the shared vehicles, right? The shared autonomous vehicles that are going to be doing, airports and public transit partnerships. So you got the robo-taxi, ride-hailing. But to Hugo's point, on your question on consumers, I think the big elephant in the room is Elon Musk and Tesla and what he's going to do, because his model has always been stated, even though it hasn't happened yet, I don't know if you heard of Toro, but the concept of you owning a car, renting it to other people as an individual, not a rental company.
I think Tensor's doing a similar thing.
And that's really that's really the big monkey, elephant in the room here, that you're going to be able to go to work, buy an autonomous vehicle, work all day, and it'll pick people up, and you can make money to pay off the car, and it'll take you home. That is a game changer, and that will disrupt the entire. Am I wrong on this?
No,
yeah,
you're absolutely right.
In the power sector, for instance, if you have solar panels on your roof, you can feed back into the grid, right, in many parts of the world, including in the UK where I live. Tell us a little bit about that, and I haven't forgotten about you, James. So I will come to you in a minute. Go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you asked earlier about Lyft, and so yes, we did partner with Lyft earlier on, this year for that specific use case. So you can effectively, when you're sleeping or whenever you're not using your, what effectively is oftentimes the most expensive, purchase that a family makes after a house, right? You're flipping now the model.
It's a car, yeah.
Yeah, you're flipping the model, right? So typically it's parked 90% of the time doing nothing. Unless you know exactly which car to buy, like a specific Porsche or Ferrari or whatever, those will only be appreciated, right? But not everybody can afford those. But, otherwise they're depreciating. And so we flip that model. When you're not using it, it can work for you. So we've taken it actually a step further. The vehicle is agentic, our vehicle. So you can talk to it. The reason why I mentioned earlier we have 8,000 TOPS of compute power is because not only are we, processing all the sensing that we're seeing, right, at highway speeds, we're also using it to process, you can literally have a relationship. You can go tell it, hey, go and do, go to the grocery store, go and do X, Y, and Z when you're not using it. So all of this is happening, in the vehicle. But I also wanted to mention, a couple other things which I think are very, very important, because I heard you talk about, public acceptance. And I think one of the key things, you mentioned that as well, Matt, I think one of the key things is, we're an AGI company, and so for us it's very important that at the end of the day, the human in the vehicle, the owner, feels like he or she is in control. And so if they want to take over, they can. And this is specifically why we went through a very, very difficult exercise, but one which is extremely necessary, which was to build the world's first foldable steering wheel. So in level 4 mode, there's obviously no steering wheel. You can, it's your living room, it's your office, it's whatever room you want it to be. But when you do want to take over, you press that button, and you can drive it when you want. And this, we think, is fundamental to, again, introducing such a revolutionary technology into society. There needs to be, again, this sense of...
And to win trust, control. Of course. That people feel
Absolutely.
That they can intervene if they need to,
exactly,
in order to embrace the technology.
Sorry,
I want to bring James in.
Okay,
sorry,
no
sorry,
problem.
Hugo. Otherwise,
sorry, I can go on forever.
I particularly wanted to ask you about robo-vehicles which are not personal for personal use, personal transport, but for business use. Logistics, delivery vehicles, and the rest of it. Do you think that sector might actually grow faster than the personal stuff? Because you don't actually have you don't have a skeptical woman like me deciding should I get into one of these or not.
Yeah, I definitely think that for different as a global market, a different region, they have a different speed. I think for United States, maybe robotaxi is really fast, it's going really fast. As you can see from Waymo or Tesla, they're the robotaxi is sounds like almost a viable business, is going rapidly. But as a global market, for example, in China or like in Europe or in the other, especially in China, I think this local delivery may be faster than robotaxi.
Yeah.
I think that is because of the labor cost, because of the regulation, because people, the public acceptance for many factors. So we cannot see this like a single answer for all the different regions. We have
so geography is really important in this discussion.
We really look at the different sectors. And also I think the vehicle, especially even for the passenger vehicle, is not. I don't think we cannot only see it as just like a go from point A to point B. It's also some private space. So I don't think only once we have robotaxi, everybody's going to call Uber or call this a platform. I think people still need to own a private space because that is a very common thing because this is a car. But for sure, the modern car, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, the car will be very different from nowadays. Is more becomes an intelligent space. It's become our it's not anymore like just the vehicle itself. It's the intelligence part is much more important than the mobility part. That is my prediction.
Okay, thank you very much, James. So we come to the very end of our discussion. We've only got 5 minutes left. And a big question that's on my mind we haven't yet answered, which is how do you win public acceptance? Because there is skepticism from old fools like myself. So I want you each to come up with one idea about how one does that. Hugo. Okay, go on, Matt.
Either you're going down the line.
You go down the line. We'll go down the line. How about it?
Seeing is believing. I think that's part of it, but to Hugo's point, I think it's really important that it be affordable, and we have to really bear that in mind.
That it be affordable.
Because what happens is that you see it in Phoenix, Arizona every day, you get used to it, you're comfortable with it. The game changer to scale it is number one, it's got to be a lot cheaper than if there's a human driver, and number two, if consumers own it and can make money on it, to Hugo's point, I think that's going to scale it a lot more quickly. So that's the third business model.
Affordability, and maybe the Lyft model is the way of doing that. Hugo, one idea.
One idea, yeah. I would say one thing we haven't talked about I think is really important is also the privacy side of things. And so traditionally in existing deployments, some of this data is being monetized, is being used, and also in traditional EVs. We went the other way. We don't believe in that. We believe in a world where, you own your own AGI, you own your own data, and so this is really fundamental. And so basically, you can actually remove the data from our vehicle. So you have the charging port, and then you have, and on the other side of the car, you have a port you can.
So privacy, data control, because you can't run these systems without an awful lot of data sharing.
Yeah, I would say just the last thing was just kind of end-to-end encryption. So it's actually the world's first vehicle with pure end-to-end encryption. So when you're talking to the vehicle, right, this is now your robot. No one's listening in, right? This is going. Right.
Okay, Hugo
this
says
is very important.
Data, control, privacy, and safety. Mohamad, what do you think is going to convince us?
Look, I can only agree with seeing is believing because that's what we're trying to do, right? And so I have the unfortunate of having to go after you, but basically, I'll be honest with you, right? I lead autonomous mobility in the region. The first time I was in an autonomous vehicle was about a year ago. because that's when they came to the region. I now sit in cars on my laptop doing emails.
But you haven't mentioned safety, because that's the thing that makes me nervous.
Yeah, so look, I think on the safety side, I think the way we, at least if we think about it in Uber, is we are introducing consumers to AVs, and we introduce them in a way that's familiar to them, that is through the Uber app. That is, we also carefully select the routes so that initially these are, optimized for AV performance and user experience. In some of our initial deployments, we have a vehicle specialist in the car, so that brings comfort to folks. And all of our deployments, when we go fully driverless, you can talk to Uber support on your phone or in the tablet. And so we create a lot of that familiarity and again, that normalcy of taking AV. We even
so from Mohamad, just get people to try it. They will try it, they will enjoy it, they'll feel comfortable, they'll do it again. Thank you very much. Kai, one idea to get people across
so in
that.
addition, what my dear panelists already mentioned, which I all agree with, it's very simple. Address some pain points people that don't enjoy about driving. I speak to consumers every single week, and some of them tell me, well, I don't want to give up driving because I spend so much money on this vehicle. I want to feel the driving. I want to feel the handling.
You can see he's a German, right?
Feel in the
Germans
seat.
love to drive.
Exactly. I have yet to find a single person, Nisha, that has told me, I enjoy so much finding a parking lot and maneuvering in this tight space in a crowded parking structure.
That's a great point.
So address that, and you win the hearts and the souls of the consumers step by step.
That's a lovely suggestion. Thank you very much, Kai Shepard. And I'm sorry, James, you've got the last word now. They've probably said everything you wanted to say.
Yeah, I just want to say the safety, as you mentioned, this is really important. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get rid of accident. We're gonna save millions of lives. That's gonna happen. That definitely requires autonomous driving to be happening. And also think about the infrastructure. The city will be different. The living, the office, our city, our office, where we live will be very different. Maybe just we can spend like a few hours in the car in the morning. We wake up in some vacation spot. So that's gonna change our life. I'm really looking forward to that day.
Thank you so much, James. So basically just go straight out there and say it is safer. Just nail your colors to the mast. Put the data out there and be a champion for it. I've learned so much from this discussion, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Should we put our hands together and say a big thank you to our panelists?